Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck. Today we are doing my Q2 book haul. So these are all the books that I have accumulated over April, May, and June. This year I am trying to be selective about what new releases I am pre-ordering. Of course I still want to pre-order some new releases because I'm excited about them, because there are authors that I want to support, etc. But I am trying to be very conscious of which are the ones that I am pre-ordering and which are the ones that I'm going to kind of wait to see some reviews before I decide if I'm going to get them. And then also with backlist books that I'm getting, I'm trying to also be conscious of for backlist, getting books that I think I am going to be reading in the near future. So let's just get into it. I think I have 15 books to talk about. We'll start with the new releases. That is my biggest stack. I'm not doing these in any particular order, just whatever I grab first. But I have A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the second book in the, is it called the Leviathans series? I don't remember. The first one is called The Tainted Cup. It's sort of like fantasy Sherlock and Holmes. I really enjoyed the first book last year and I am excited to read the second one. I believe in this series each individual book is its own contained mystery, and yeah, I'm planning to read this one more in the fall, so I am kind of hanging on to it for now. I read the first one, maybe it was in November or December last year, and so I just feel like this is a series that I should read in the fall winter, so hanging on to this one. I haven't gotten to it yet. Similarly, not in the type of book, but in terms of when I plan to read these, I do have particular plans for these. I have Boys with Sharp Teeth by Jenny Howell and The Corruption of Hollis Brown by Kay Ankrum, and these are also both books that I am planning to be reading in the fall. I feel like probably October, November is when I'm going to be in the mood to read these, although really for a Kay Ankrum book I'm kind of always in the mood for a Kay Ankrum book because I just always love them. This one sounds like a very interesting setup. I think that there is a boy who makes a deal at a crossroads. He ends up possessed by a ghost and then maybe falls in love with the ghost. Don't quote me on that, but I think that that is what the plot of this book is. Kay Ankrum is one of those authors that I'm just I don't even really care what the plot is. I don't need to know. This is an auto-buy, auto-read author for me, and I'm just so excited to have a new book from her. And then Boys with Sharp Teeth, I think is contemporary YA, dark academia. The best friend of our main character, I think, was murdered, and then she goes undercover at a rich boarding school to find out what happened, but there's something much darker and much weirder going on than she thought. I have seen this kind of comped to The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, which is one of my favorite series of all time. So that is particularly why I wanted to pick up this. So these are both ones that I plan to read in the fall. I also picked up The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. This is her newest release. That is her first adult book. And I gotta say, I am not sure if I am going to like this. If this was from any other author, this is not a story that I would intentionally pick up. I think it is historical fiction set either towards the end of or right after World War II. It takes place at this luxury hotel, I think in Appalachia, and we're following June, who runs this hotel, but the kind of unusual circumstance is that it says, under the State Department's watchful eye, they welcome 300 enemy diplomats and Nazi sympathizers, and June must play host. This doesn't really sound like a plot that I would pick up on my own. I don't particularly like World War II historical fiction, but I am very curious. I'm always interested in a Maggie Stiefvater release. I'm curious to see what her first, adult release is like. I'm gonna give it a shot. Also, this is the UK edition, if this cover looks different. I also picked up The Chosen Queen by Sam Davy. This is following King Arthur's mother and telling her story, which I always am interested in a Arthurian retelling. We always know they can be very hit or miss for me, but I keep giving them chances because sometimes I really love them, and I do particularly like Arthurian retellings that are more like Arthurian adjacent. They are kind of about tangential characters, and ones that tell the story of like the women in the story. So I'm very interested in this as well. Then a book I'm so excited about is The Mercy Makers by Tessa Gratton. This book, honestly, I don't know too much about it. I don't want to know too much. I just want to go in pretty blind and just see what it is, because I don't want too many expectations. I think that my personal expectations are already too high because I love Tessa Gratton and I have loved her Queens of Innisleer series. Like, Queens of Innisleer, one of my favorite books. And so I am really trying to temper my expectations, but it's hard. So yeah, but I know that this is following a character who uses heretical magic, which sounds really interesting. I think it is magic that involves these like symbols and like scribing. She has this like pen on the cover. This cover, beautiful. I'm just so excited. It has not been getting good reviews, but my suspicion is that that is because it is mismarketed. Also, Queens of Innisleer didn't get great reviews. I think Tessa Gratton, like, as much as I adore her, I think that she is maybe an acquired taste. Like, she is for specific people, not necessarily like a mass appeal. So this has not been getting great reviews, but that does not dampen my excitement because I still have faith that her book will be, it may not be for everyone, but it will be for me. And then finally, two new releases that I've already read. I read Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame by Neon Yang, which I read this, I think in June? No, May? I think I read this in May. This does have kind of a lady knight. It doesn't exactly have like knight vibes, but the main character is kind of a lady knight. There is a sapphic romance, there are dragons, there is a bit of a mystery to uncover, and I really love Neon Yang's writing. I always enjoy reading their books for the writing itself. I felt like this one maybe needed a little bit more fleshing out, but I did enjoy it. And then the other new release that I recently read was The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This has been everywhere. Like, everybody's talking about this book. And I love lady knight books, so that's why I picked it up. Also, this, I got the Barnes & Noble edition, which is absolutely beautiful. Like, end pages, beautiful. Like, I'm not usually a fan of sprayed edges. I like the look of paper. Like, I want my books to look like books and be paper colored, but this is beautiful. Also, Under the Dust Jacket, great, like, fantastic. I love it. This book is super heavy. Like, the paper is dense, and this is just like a physically heavy book. This takes place in this fantasy world where there are diviners who connect to their divination by drowning in this magical pool of water. Our main character is coming towards the end of her service as a diviner when her fellow diviners suddenly disappear, and she has to find out what happened to them. And of course, along the way, she has a friend who is a gargoyle and she also has a knight who she has a romance with, and some other characters as well. And I'm not going to review this right now. I read this recently in July, so this will be in my July wrap-up, but this is also already read, so it's not going on to my TBR. I almost forgot that also I picked up Mir by Danielle Giles. This is historical fiction about a group of nuns who live next to a creepy marsh. and then they think that they are cursed. I actually read a little bit of this already and was enjoying the writing at the beginning, but I have paused this for now, but also interested to get back to this one. All right, so let's get into the books that I got that are not new releases. These are backlist books, and hopefully more of these I will have read. First up is The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. I picked this up because I feel like this is sort of like a modern classic within Arthurian retellings. This is one of those Arthurian retellings that is just so frequently recommended that I wanted to give it a shot. I saw it at a my like library used bookstore for like, it says $2, and it's in like brand new condition, so I decided to grab this. And I think this one is following Merlin's story. And then I also picked up The Horse Goddess by Morgan Llewellyn. I have been wanting to read more Morgan Llewellyn. I tried one of her books a long time ago. I read, I think it's just called Druids, and I ended up DNFing that. I didn't really like it. However, that is definitely one of her less popular books, so I feel like I should give her another shot with one of her more popular books. This is not necessarily her most popular, but this is a more well-liked book from her, and is also, I believe, the first book in kind of a companion series about like ancient Ireland. Morgan Llewellyn writes a lot of like Irish historical fiction, historical fantasy. She's quite prolific and has been writing in this, you know, subgenre for many years. I think that, you know, since I love this subgenre so much, I should be more familiar with her work and should, you know, give more of her books a shot to really see, you know, how do I feel about her books. The books that she writes does span quite a lot of history. She has different series. And so of course I am generally more interested in the more like ancient to medieval period of historical fiction, although she does, I think, have some more like modern historical fiction as well. But I am starting here with The Horse Goddess because I think this is more of like ancient Ireland. So I'm not even sure what this is about exactly, but I am excited to give this a shot. Then we have the books that have either already been read or I am currently reading. So I am currently reading Dragon Fruit by Makia Lucier. I have been loving Makia Lucier's books this year. So the other book from her that I have is Song of the Abyss. So already read Song of the Abyss and the first book, Isle of Blood and Stone. So I finished this duology in May, I think. So if you want to know more about my thoughts on it, you can check out my May wrap up. But really enjoyed this duology. Each book is kind of a companion duology, but each book has a bit of a mystery to it. I really enjoy her mysteries, that they're not too overwhelming to the story to the detriment of the characters, and also they are the right amount of figure out ability that I enjoy, so I just have a really good time with them. And then, as I said, I'm reading Dragon Fruit right now, and this is a standalone fantasy inspired by Pacific Island culture, and in this we are following our main character Hanalei, who is on a quest to make up for the sins of her father, and that involves helping a prince hunt down dragon eggs. So currently reading this, really enjoying it. So far, not my favorite of all of her books, but I just generally enjoy her books, so I'm still having a good time. And then the other books that I bought and have already read are Unquiet Land and Whispering Wood, both by Sharon Shin. These are books 4 and 5 in the Elemental Blessing series, and I have already finished both of these. So I've completed the Elemental Blessing series, which I had some very mixed feelings about this series by the end. Like, I loved the first book and the third book, and then the rest of it not so much. And I also had some issues with the way that it represented some of the other cultures in this world. They are, of course, fantasy countries, fantasy cultures, but I still had some issues with the way some of the cultures were represented and some of the other things that happened in these. So some very mixed feelings about this series as a whole, and I don't know if I would be able to, I don't think I would be able to recommend the series as a whole, but I did read these. And then the last book that I have is a nonfiction book called How to Know a Person, The Art of Seeing Others Deeply and Being Deeply Seen by David Brooks. This is actually a gift from my mom, and I am interested to read this. I probably will listen to it as an audiobook because I like to listen to nonfiction as audiobooks, but I also really like having a physical copy, especially if I'm enjoying the book, so that I can underline and annotate and have notes as I am listening to it. So I'm very happy to have this. So those are all the books that I bought in the second quarter of 2025. Let me know if you have read any of these and if there are any of the unread books that you think I should prioritize, or let me know what is a book that you bought in Q2 that you are really excited about. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!